Hi, I'm Becky with Icing on Top Becky's Cakes, and today we're going to learn how to pipe a buttercream flower on a flower nail. First, you'll need a pastry bag, and these are the 12-inch ones that I use. And then you'll need a wooden skewer and the flower nail. This is a Wilton 124 flower nail. It's just your basic size. And you're going to use the narrow tip to put the color stripe on. But I'll show you that in a minute. This is the flower nail, or rose nail as these are called. And this one's probably about the size of a quarter. And this is gel food coloring Americolor Regal Purple. Here's my squares of wax paper. Now, first, we're going to get the piping bag ready. We're going to cut it so that it's about halfway. That's going to rest about halfway out the tip. And you don't want it to go too far out, otherwise your piping tip will pop all the way out of the bag, and then you'll just have a mess. So we're going to squeeze it through the bag at about halfway through. I'm feeding that through the inside of the bag, and then squeezing the flower nail so that it comes out and that it's not going to pop back out on me. So it's nice and snug. Then I'm going to fold my bag down, and I'm going to get out my gel food coloring, and right on that seam where the narrow part of the rose tip is where I'm going to want to put a line of gel food coloring, and I'm going to use my skewer to push it all the way down that seam. Right on that narrow side. You only need a dab, and then we're just going to feed that all the way down through. Straight down, right into the tip. Now I'm going to get some very stiff buttercream. I'll post my recipe in the description below so that you'll see what kind I use. But you want it to be nice and stiff, otherwise your flowers are not going to hold up very well at all. And they'll just probably look more like a blob of frosting by the time you're done. Now, the less buttercream you put in your bag, the more control you'll have. But as I don't want to refill my bag a ton of times, I'm going to actually make this bag pretty full. I'm just kind of shoving that on in there. And then later we're going to shake it down. And then once I get it shaken in there really good, I'm going to push the rest down. Then I'm going to want to twist my bag after it's all pushed down in there. And this is to keep the frosting staying in your bag and off your hands. And also because a lot of these techniques are used, the pressure that you squeeze with your hands is what's going to create your leaves, or your petals. And so if you don't have the right kind of pressure, then your petals aren't going to come out right. And so you want that frosting tight down in there. So a lot of times throughout while I'm working, I will stop, I'll twist my bag, make sure that frosting's staying down. And here I'm going to actually put a little bit of buttercream on my rose nail, grab a piece of parchment square, that'll stick it in place. And then I'm going to build my cone. This is just a piping bag just with straight up buttercream in it, and just a narrow end cut out of the tip, just so I can use that for making my cone. I'm making my bag nice and tight. I'm holding it in place with my thumb and my fingers, and I'm going to squeeze it starting at the top with my top fingers, and then kind of squeeze it down. And it's the pressure that it's going to create that. Now with my tip facing in toward the cone, I wrap that first leaf around, and then I'm going to go up and down with my next ones. Squeezing as I go and then releasing as soon as I'm done with that petal. And then as you go out, you're going to slowly tip the tip of your nozzle. You're going to slowly work that out towards you so that your nozzle starts to lay flat and towards you by the end of your rose. That way your rose is opening up. So slowly move the nozzle towards you each row of petals that you do. Then it opens up like a regular rose. Now we're going to pull that corner of that parchment out and just going to slide it off our nail like that onto a plate, and then you can freeze it, and once they're hard you can pick them up and actually put them on your cake. But what if you don't have the parchment squares and you just want to go directly onto the cake? Well, then you just pipe your cone directly onto the rose nail, and then we're going to make the rose directly onto that, and then we're going to lift it off with a pair of cake decorating scissors. So first let's make our rose again. Now having that toward the middle of the cone there, and then up and down. Usually do 3 petals on the inside, depending on how I want it to look. And I'm twisting with my wrist as I do it, and also I'm spinning the flower nail with my fingers underneath. That way there's less work for my hand as long as I spin that nail. And now as those outer petals are out there, they're facing me. So I'm going to get my scissors. And you can use regular scissors, but these cake decorating scissors are kind of offset, so they're easier to get. Now I'm going to go in the bottom of my rose. I'm going to squeeze in, not all the way, just enough to lift the rose off. I'm going to lift it up, then I'm going to squeeze it in and pull out the rose. Now I used my thumb to kind of keep it in place, but you can also use your wooden skewer to keep that rose from following the scissors off. Some people like to open the scissors when they pull it off, but I find that I'll usually lose a rose petal if I do it that way. But thanks for watching. That's how you pipe on buttercream roses.